Q&A section of our webinar today. Your questions will be answered by our student and worker unit manager, Ms. Elena Balboa. As of now, I can see 423 questions being posted on the Q&A box. We will try to answer as many of them as possible. Please note that if your questions are similar to what others have asked, what we'll try to do is I'll be trying to group the same set of questions or similar questions so that they address the queries asked by a lot of people. So, Elena, are we ready to go?
Go ahead, please.
So, the first question that we have is, are SDS files really being processed as there have been no updates for the last few months? I haven't heard from anyone regarding AIP. Can you please give some timeline for processing of AIPs?
So yes, I can confirm that SDS applications, as well as non-SDS applications, are currently being processed. Your AIP decision letters are forthcoming. We've already begun sending out these letters, so please be patient. We are trying to send out all of the letters as quickly as possible. Thank you.
The next question is, I applied for a study permit on March 7th, including biometrics and medicals. I haven't got my medicals updated in the portal till date. Applicants who applied around my timeline got theirs updated, so I'm a little concerned. Is there anything that I need to do with my application in terms of the medicals?
So your application, because it was not, it hasn't yet been decided, will fall under this two-stage process. So really what you should be primarily concerned about right now is just the stage 1. The stage 2 is when we'll address the medicals. So if your medicals are on file, certainly when your application is being reviewed for the stage 2 process, that medical will be applied to your file. If there's anything else that we need from you with respect to that medical, if that is your concern, you will be receiving a request letter from us via the online portal for your case. So just continue to monitor that. So if you don't hear anything from us, assume everything is fine and that you should just wait for your AIP, hopefully coming soon. Thank you.
Okay, the next question is, I have uploaded my most recent education documents, bachelor's degree, as the application asked only for recent education documents. Do I need to submit my 10th and 12th mark sheet as well? If so, can I do it now through the IRCC web form?
So you should try to provide as much information as possible in order to support your application. Your earlier years of schooling is not so important because what we're more concerned about is that, yes, you've graduated from secondary school, you have your certificate, here are the transcripts for your later years. Keep in mind that if you are applying via SDS, so the requirement is that you provide the transcripts, all the transcripts from the last school that you attended. So if it is missing those, I'm not sure if the officer who's reviewing your case will decide to take it out of the SDS stream. If you have time now, I would suggest that you upload those just to ensure that you remain in that stream if that's how you've applied. Thank you.
The next question is, I have applied for my visa on July 18th. When can I expect my AIP? If I do not receive any response from IRCC even after commencement of my online classes on 8th of September, then what should I do?
So right now, processing times are not available because there is the pandemic that we have to deal with and operations are limited. We are doing our best to work through all of the applications and hopefully get you your AIP letters as soon as possible. The current measures in terms of the two-stage process is allowing you to start your class, provided that you've already submitted your study permit application before September 15. So even if you get your AIP letter down the line, even after you've begun your courses, that entire semester will still count towards your PGWP because this is part of the two-stage process. And I hope that'll give you the confidence to go ahead and proceed with the fall 2020 semester for classes, despite not yet receiving that AIP. Just make sure that your application has already been submitted. Thank you.
Thank you, Alina. The next question is, what will happen with the files submitted in paper before the lockdown?
So our office here in New Delhi is processing all of the paper files, including the ones submitted to Bangalore. We are working through those cases. I can tell you that the ones that remain in this office are the ones where we're missing information for the your stage 1 AIP. Most of the other paper files have already been concluded. So you may want to check your emails, or if you've linked your application to an online account, check your online portal for a decision on your case. For the ones that are remaining, the main reason for not being able to move forward with these cases is that the LOA on file is for a previous semester, and we have not yet received an updated LOA to show that your enrollment has been deferred to a future semester. So if this is the case for you, please ensure that you submit to us your updated LOA as soon as possible so that we can also provide you with an AIP for your case. Thank you.
Okay, so the next question is actually asked by quite a lot of people. So I'm actually going to club it or just share with you the gist of it. So for those people who had already submitted their applications, full applications, including medicals, biometrics, and all of that, what they're asking is now, will they be receiving the final decision? Because if they do, then they will not be able to submit their passport till VAX open. So what is the decision that they are going to receive now? Will it be the first stage AIP or will it be the second stage, the final one? How does it work for those people?
So you will definitely get a stage 1 AIP if you pass all of the requirements for stage 1. In terms of getting a final decision, if you already have provided the information required for stage 2, we are not at this time finalizing any cases until we know when the VACs will be reopening. Why? We can't issue visas right now because the VACs aren't open, and there's no way for us to have this two-way passport transmission between us and yourselves. So until that happens, don't panic if you don't yet receive a final decision on your case, especially the ones with online accounts where you can see all of this activity instantaneously. Uh, Please be patient, wait for your AIP letter, and go ahead and have the confidence to proceed with the fall 2020 courses. Since you've already submitted your applications, you'll all fall under this two-stage process. Thank you.
Okay, so the next question is also being asked by quite a lot of people. So since VACs are closed since March 2020, biometrics are of course not being collected. So does that mean that all applications which are missing biometrics, medical or biometrics, the SDS applications will now move to non-SDS even though they have submitted the rest of the SDS documentation?
So biometrics actually does not form part of SDS. It is not a mandatory requirement upfront. So you can, even if you didn't provide biometrics yet, if your application has all of the other documents on file, you can still continue with the SDS process. For those who are missing medicals, now upfront medicals is a mandatory requirement for SDS, and the SDS requirements have not changed. So that means if you did not provide medicals with your application will automatically be put into the non-SDS stream. Thank you.
Okay, so the next question is, my course is hybrid. Will I face a rejection as my college requires me to attend classes in person?
No, how your school is delivering your program is of no concern to us, to be perfectly frank. We understand, like because of the pandemic, that some schools are able to have in-person classes, some schools are able to only provide hybrid classes where the in-person portion may be later in the year, and some schools have just decided to stick to an online format for the fall 2020 semester. We understand this. This is not going to factor in our decision. So for the ones with hybrid courses, I think, especially if your school has decided that the in-person portion of your program is going to be later in the semester, uh, they're hoping, like everyone else is hoping, that the travel restrictions will be lifted by then so that you can travel to Canada. But don't think that just because you're in a hybrid program, this will factor into your decision. It will not. Thank you.
Uh, so the next question is, if one has got stage one visa approval, does it mean that he will for sure get a visa in the final stage? And if not, then what could be the possible reasons for the rejection in the second stage?
So we'll say that if you receive stage 1 approval, so you get the AIP, there is very low risk for you to get a stage 2 approval. Sorry, a stage 2 refusal. This is not a guarantee of a visa because you get AIP. It is no guarantee. However, it is low risk, meaning that the number of cases that actually fail at stage 2 is very, very small. And I'll tell you the main reasons. Number one, you've provided incorrect or false information on your application, or you've provided fraudulent documents. So essentially, you shouldn't be providing false information or fraudulent documents, and this is why we're refusing your case. Number two is a medical inadmissibility. So normally this relates to tuberculosis issues. And what students usually receive is instructions for what we call a medical furtherance. You're you're instructed to do a series of other tests and potentially a drug regimen to correct your current medical condition. And then you're given usually 12 to 16 weeks for this to all take place. And then you get another set of tests later to see if your condition has improved. There may be a second furtherance beyond this. And then very rarely have we actually seen that conditions have not improved, and that results in an actual refusal based on medical inadmissibility. The refusals resulting out of this are usually because the student has refused to comply with our medical instructions. So again, like a lot of these things are in your hands. They're things that you can control. You know, number one, answer all of our questions truthfully and completely. Number two, the documents you provide should all be valid and legitimate and genuine. Number three, if we provide you with medical furtherance instructions, please make sure that you follow all of them and follow them within the time frame provided to you. And if you follow all of these things, your risk for getting a stage 2 refusal will be even less. There are other things that we look at in terms of a stage 2 approval that really for students, it does not like it. I've actually never seen it factored. For example, if you're a terrorist, if you are a spy, if you've committed genocide, like these are things that are just so incredibly uncommon with this population. These are things you don't need to worry about that'll affect you. Like we've never seen a police certificate with actual a criminal history on there. Like this is again a very rare thing for students, especially because a lot of you are just, you know, you've just become adults and you're just starting out in your life. You don't have this background history yet. So really a stage 2 refusal, as long as you follow our instructions and provide correct and complete documents and information, the risk is very low that you should get a refusal at stage 2. Thank you.
Okay, so this one is also about AIP. So the person is asking, can I defer my intake or change my course after receiving an AIP? And if I can do that, then will it affect my second stage approval?
No issues with deferring your enrollment at all. So just make sure that you submit to us an updated LOA to demonstrate what your new start date is. A deferral of enrollment does not factor into stage 2 at all. Thank you.
The next question is, so the person has completed their master's degree, but they haven't received their final year mark sheet due to the delay of COVID-19. So he's asking, or he or she is asking, if their visa will be rejected because of not submitting the final year mark sheet, even though they have an unconditional letter of acceptance, which they have submitted as part of their visa application.
So if your school has accepted the fact that you can't complete your final exam and that they've given you this unconditional letter of offer, then it also does not matter to us. Thank you.
The next question is, how many days before start of classes can we travel to Canada?
So please do not travel to Canada until at maximum 3 weeks before the start date of your in-person classes. So number one, keep in mind there are travel restrictions. So anybody who may have had a visa issued after March 18, please don't attempt to travel to Canada. Even if you do have in-person classes starting, there is a travel restriction. You will not be permitted to board your flight. For the ones who are travel restriction exempt, please do not travel until 3 weeks before the start date of your classes. CBSA may turn you around once you get to the port of entry, and at your own expense will be returned back to your home country. Or the airline may not even board you on your flight. And then if there are refund issues, you may lose out on that as well. Thank you.
So the next question is probably something which a lot of people are facing right now. So the person received their visa in January 2020 and the visa expires at the end of November 2020. Now what they're asking is the expiry of a visa an essential enough reason to travel at this point of time? And if not, can someone extend their visa from outside of Canada? And if they cannot, what is the option that they have in this situation?
So number one, your visa expiring is absolutely not a reason for essential travel to Canada. Absolutely not. So please don't attempt to travel. Number two, if this visa was for a semester that's already passed and you were not able to travel because of the pandemic, you can ask for the reissuance of your visa, but you have to wait until vax reopen. And what does that entail? With the updated dates, send us your passport with the actual visa in it, and then you also need to pay a $30 fee for a document reissuance. So please wait until the vax reopen, and then you can provide all of these documents to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. So the next question is about the PGWP and the time that we are considering, IRCC is considering. So people are asking if the number of courses in each term is what we're looking at when we see the PGWP and we say that 50% can be done online, or is it the actual time that is counted? Because a lot of people have their course content and then they also have an internship or a training which is part of their course. So then in that case, how do we look at the PGWP scenario, which is 50% as of now?
So in terms of course load, we're talking about time frame. So your school decides what is considered a full course load, and a full course load per semester is what counts towards your PGWP. So essentially, all of your semesters divided by 2, that's your 50%. In terms of whether or not your co-op term factors into this, so this is a question we're asking. I regret that I don't have this information for you right now, but we will address this hopefully in one of our social media posts. So please do follow us on Facebook or Twitter, and we will post this information for you to have. Thank you.
Okay. So the next question that we have is, I probably know the answer to this, but people are asking when do we expect VAX to open, or if we have any estimated opening time at all?
So we do not have an ETA on when VACs are reopening. We are monitoring the situation closely, and we are regularly reviewing it to determine when it will be safe enough. So not just safe enough for VFS staff who have to work at these locations, but also for all of our clients, you, the clients, for when you're going to be using these facilities. So we just want to make sure that everyone is staying healthy and safe. And please stay tuned to the VFS website for any updates on reopening. Thank you.
Okay. So for the hybrid courses, I think you might have answered this, but this might be a little different. So for the hybrid courses, if the first part of the course was online and the second part was in person, or vice versa, so then the person has already done the online, and now for the in-person, if that gets converted to the online, so then will that be considered a full online, and then will that affect the PGWP in any way?
Yes, so the actual time that you spend on your course online and outside of Canada will factor into your PGWP. So if you end up spending the entire program online, then and it's online outside of Canada, you will not receive a PGWP at all based on this program. Thank you.
The next question is, how do we provide a new letter of acceptance if once we have received it from the university or the college? How do we send it to IRCC basically?
So you can send it to us via web form, or you can also email it to us to our generic mailbox. Thank you.
A lot of people are asking about the processing time for AIP. So would you like to comment on that? What can be the expected processing time, or what would we like to say about this?
So I realize that everyone is very anxious to receive their AIP. We are working very hard, not just the Delhi office, but our sister offices in Canada, including work cells that contain some of our evacuated staff who are working very hard on our caseload to try to get you the AIP as soon as possible. So please be patient. We are doing our best to try to get you this information. In the meantime, please be patient. Currently, I regret that I can't provide you a time frame for when you might get that AIP. But we have already started sending these letters, so hopefully yours will also be coming shortly. Thank you.
Okay, this question is uh, probably from someone who's not in India right now. They're saying that if I'm in a country where the VAC is open and I'm able to submit my biometrics, then in that case, will my application have to go through the two-stage process? Will it go through the two-stage process, or what will happen to it?
So the two-stage process applies to every application right now that is still pending, right? So every application in our inventory will fall under this two-stage process. This process will end for any application submitted after September 15. So if you submit your biometrics, excellent. Your case can be further moved along. But keep in mind, we can't issue visas at this time. Actually, depending on the country you're at, if the VACs are open, we'll have to, if you wanted your visa, if your application is ready to be finalized, you could potentially use the VAC there to submit it to the office that's responsible for whatever country you may be in. Like clearly you're not in India or Nepal. So think about whether or not the IRCC office that's responsible for the VAC wherever you may be is able to process your application, and then they can print your visa. But if you're anywhere in India or Nepal, VACs remain closed. We can't print any of those visas here. Thank you.
The next question is, if I start my studies in September without receiving an AIP, and after I have started my studies, then I receive a refusal on my AIP. So in that case, if I do wish to go ahead and reapply, can I reapply with the same letter of acceptance, or do I need to have my documentation changed in that case?
So you can reapply with the same documentation, provided that, so with respect to the LOA, that it's still for a future semester, right? Um, uh, or it's the current semester that you're currently studying. And you should provide information that you're already in that semester, you've already begun your courses. And that will make it acceptable for us to accept this document. In terms of other documentation on your file, you don't necessarily need to update them as long as they all still remain valid. Thank you.
So the next question is something I think a lot of the students in India are currently facing or want to ask right now. That this particular person has a lot of network restrictions, broadband connectivity issues, basically internet issues, because of which they're unable to do their online courses or online classes. And they have received a letter, supporting letter from their institute, which says that they can travel to Canada because of this reason. So in a situation like that, can they actually travel to Canada just with that supporting letter from their university or college?
So number one, despite any issues or if you have in-person classes or whatnot, you still need to meet the requirement that your visa must have been issued before March 18. And if you meet that requirement and you are having these bandwidth issues or internet issues, this is really an assessment made by CBSA and not IRCC. This does not factor into study permits. So you should contact CBSA to determine what they're looking for to be able to travel. Thank you.
Okay. Given the current scenario, people who had submitted their applications online before the lockdown and they were SDS applications, now when they do get processed, will they be, and when they are expected to receive their AIP, will they be given a priority over non-SDS like how we do in a normal scenario?
So right now all of our processing times are off, like whether it's SDS or non-SDS. And basically the entire network who's working on study permits is trying to work through all of the applications as quickly as possible. So the priority clearly is for students who've already applied for a previous semester and is now deferring enrollment, and as well as our fall 2020 semester students. So in terms of SDS versus non-SDS, right now the plan is just to get through all of them with no real priorities. We are trying to normalize processing times, but we first have to get through all of our backlog in inventory. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just going through questions because a lot of them seem to be the same type of questions. And there are people who are asking about SDS and non-SDS, and will they receive the AIP within the same time frame? You've already alluded to that. So this person says, my presence is mandatory as it is a practical course. Can I travel to Canada without the biometrics? And what document is required in order to get accepted by the airline so that I can travel to Canada?
So if you haven't submitted your biometrics yet, that tells me that you do not have a visa. And with the current travel restrictions, you are not allowed to travel to Canada because only persons with visas issued on or before March 18 can travel. And if, for example, that travel restriction was lifted, there is no exemptions for biometrics at this time, like with respect to students. So biometrics still need to be provided eventually if you wish to receive a visa. Thank you.
So this question is about GIC. So I'm not sure if you want to address this or you whatever you want to say regarding this. So they're saying that now that they have started their online courses in India, their GIC was initially made for a bank in Canada. So is there a way that the GIC money can be disbursed to them by the bank? So would you like to comment on that?
Please contact the bank directly. Thank you.
The next question, the paper application. So the person is asking if we have an updated LOA, where should we send it to? Is there a particular email address?
So the Delhi Immigration General Mailbox is perfect, or you can also upload it via web form. Thank you.
Okay. This question is, so I'm just sifting through the questions and trying to find the ones that we have not yet answered. The ones. Okay, people asking about the AIP timelines, which we have already shared. Okay. So I think what is happening right now is people are asking the same type of questions. So that's why I'm kind of sifting through a lot of them. My study visa was issued on 7th February 2020, expiring on 31st August 2020. I also got my CAQ till 31st August 2020. In April, I got my new CAQ till 28th Feb 2022. My May intake of 2 years course was deferred to September. For visa extension, the portal is asking to fill up a visitor visa form. So is that the way to go about it, or is there something else that the person needs to do in this case?
So I'm actually going to need more information to answer this question. The way you phrased it, it seems like you're asking a study permit extension. So that is only available for people who are already in Canada on valid study permits. You can only apply for a study permit extension there. If you've already applied and your case is still pending, you can send us all of this updated information and we will update your current file. And then once your visa is ready to be issued, we will issue the visa based on the new dates. If you've already received your visa, but you have not yet traveled, so you're going to submit to us all of
Elena, I think we lost you there. Are you there? Elena?
and then we will reissue that visa for you for the new date. Yes, sorry. Hello?
Okay, no, sorry. I think I lost you there, so it was probably my network connection. Sorry. So the next question is, Can the student write to us for an authorization letter to board a flight?
Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit, but I think I heard that does a student need an authorization letter to board a
Yes,
flight?
yes,
And the
yes.
answer is no. So students do not need any authorization letters from IRCC. Please do not ask us for one. We will not give you one. What you need to board a flight is 3 things. Number 1, your passport. Number 2, your visa or your port of entry intro letter issued to you on or before March 18. Number 3, evidence of why your presence in Canada is essential. And what does that mean? You have in-person classes. You have hybrid classes where part of the program will require you to be physically present in class at one point during the semester. There are aspects to your program that requires you to participate physically, for example, laboratories, workshops, etc. You need to show us documentation that indicates this. Thank you.
Thank you, Alina. So, would you like to address, because this has been coming up every now and then in the questions, the issue for students who have just a one-year program? They started in either spring or summer of 2020, and they have actually completed 50% of their course load already while in India. So, what should those students do now, or what is the way forward for them?
So basically, you can do whatever you want. You can either complete your entire program here, or you can wait until travel restrictions are lifted and you're able to travel to Canada to complete the last part of your program. It is honestly up to you to decide whether or not learning something new and doing some self-improvement is enough for you, or if you want all of that time to count towards a postgraduate work permit. If the postgraduate work permit is essentially your end goal, then you need to think about what the policy says, which is that 50% of the course, no more, can be completed online and outside of Canada. So that's the bottom line. If you need to defer, go ahead and defer. If you choose to complete this program while you're outside of Canada and completely online, and then you decide you want to take a different one so that you can actually go study in Canada eventually, that is all up to you. Thank you.
The next question is about working. So, person is asking, can we work full time while attending online flow courses from here in India? And if we do work full time, will that work experience be counted towards our? I think what they're asking is towards their overall work experience in general.
So the 20 hours maximum per week that you can work is limited to Canada only. That is only if you're on Canadian soil. Because you are not in Canada, that restriction does not apply to you. In terms of that affecting you negatively somehow, uh, frankly, you just need to make sure that you are devoting enough time to your studies, that you're actually absorbing, and you're completing all of the necessary assignments and passing your tests. So as long as you have enough time to focus on that while working full time at the same time, that is completely up to you to do as long as you are outside of Canada. Thank you.
So this person is asking that I have my core classes starting from the winter of 2021 as per my original plan. So this is not a deferred admission or anything. So they're asking, should they wait before they apply so that the AIP process gets changed, or can they apply right now? What would you recommend in this scenario?
So, Anadita, you're breaking up, but I think the question is whether or not someone should apply early or not. And I
Yes.
always recommend that you should apply as soon as possible and do not wait. For those who are, contemplating whether or not they should apply for winter 2021 semester now, for example, go ahead. If, for example, winter 2021 is still online and you're not interested in online courses, you can always ask for a deferral of enrollment and go for another semester, but at least you don't have to think about the visa issue anymore. Thank you.
Alina, still breathing? Or is it better now? Hello?
Nope, still not clear.
Is it better?
Just bear with us for a moment. We're just experiencing some technical difficulties, but I'm just going to go through the questions myself for a little bit here. So the question is, I got passport requests on 25 May 2020, and I may be able to submit as VFS are closed, but I don't got approval letter or POE. How can I start online classes? So if your visa if you got a passport request letter, likely we've approved your case. And so please check your online portal to see what the status of your application is. Because if you want your fall 2020 semester to be counted as part of your PGWP time, you can go ahead. If you see information that you've already passed your eligibility assessment in your online portal, don't worry about receiving a letter from us if you can see this very clearly on in your online portal. Go ahead and start your study, start your program. The next question here is, can we fly to Canada in mid-fall semester if travel restrictions will be removed in between the semester? Yes, absolutely. If the travel restrictions are lifted, and if you have a visa, you can travel to Canada if your classes have already started. So even if there is no, even if that semester is still online and you wanted to go to Canada anyways, uh, it shouldn't be a problem as long as you are still enrolled and taking those online courses and that you intend to complete your program in Canada. Next question here.
Are you able to hear me, Elena, now? Is it better?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. Okay, so the next question is based on the language tests. So a lot of people are asking about the Duolingo and IELTS indicator because a lot of universities and colleges have accepted students with those test scores. So people are still unable to sit for those examinations. So, but then they already have the letters from the universities based on the Duolingo scores. So what is our scenario in that case? IRCC's take on that, basically.
So IRCC is not accepting any online English language test results. That's the bottom line. Please wait for IELTS, TOEFL, or PTE centers to reopen so that you can take the in-person tests as soon as they do. I think in some parts of India, there are already some test centers open. So have a look and see where you might be able to make an appointment to take your test soon. Thank you.
So, this is again a funds related question, but this has come up about a few times now, so I'm just putting it forward to you. So, for people who are paying their entire education or funding their entire education with their own money, so they're not taking a loan, they're not doing anything. So, in that case, what should they show? Or what is the recommended, because they might not have that amount of money in a liquid bank account at the immediate point when they're submitting their application. So in that scenario, what should she do?
So the requirement is that you show us liquid funds, whether it's in a bank account, in an education loan, in scholarships, in grant money, that you have this money to pay for at least your first year of school. That is the requirement. So if you are unable to demonstrate this, your application may be refused. That's the bottom line. Thank you.
The date of issue on the TRV sticker on passport and the date on the correspondence letter is different. Now, which date should we take into account in order to qualify for the travel exemption?
The one on your visa. Thank you.